During the past few days, in what has been a very difficult and sensitive time around the world, obviously as the New Zealand Prime Minister and I have been addressing the terrorist attacks in Christchurch, remarks have been made by the Turkish President Erdogan that I consider highly offensive to Australians and highly reckless in this very sensitive environment. They are offensive because they insult the memory of our ANZACs and they violate the pledge that is edged in the stone at Gallipoli of the promise of Ataturk to the mothers of our ANZACs. So I understand the deep offence Australians would be feeling about this. It is truly upsetting. I have conveyed that in the strongest of possible terms to the Turkish ambassador today, and I do not accept the excuses that have been offered for those comments. There will be further meetings held today between our ambassador and the Turkish government, and foreign ministers will also discuss this matter today, but I have made it very clear about where Australia stands on this matter. I believe the comments also completely misrepresent the very strong position taken by the Australian and New Zealand governments in our response to the extremist attack in New Zealand that was committed by an Australian, but in no way, shape or form could possibly be taken to represent the actions or any policy or view of the Australian people. All Australians have condemned it, as indeed I have swiftly and the New Zealand Prime Minister has. But not only that, it has not just been our condemnation of that attack, but it has been our response, both as countries who have an open, tolerant society, accepting of all faiths and peoples, that we have reached out to embrace our Muslim brothers and sisters in New Zealand and in Australia, quite to the contrary of the vile assertion that has been made about our response. The response of our free people in New Zealand and Australia, I think, is the message that needs to be communicated to the Turkish people, and I believe is a view respected by the people of Turkey and certainly by Turkish Australians. In my own discussions with Turkish Australian leaders this morning, they have expressed to me their deep disappointment about these comments. They don't represent the views of Turkish Australians. Turkish Australians have made an extraordinary contribution to this country, and particularly over more than a century, as they've joined with us to commemorate the battles at Gallipoli. They have demonstrated, I think, both a spirit of goodwill, and I know that they would not seek to be associated with these comments at all. So what I'm saying is this: I am not going to single out the comments of one person and ascribe it to a people, whether in Turkey or across Australia. I don't think it does reflect the views of the Turkish people, or certainly of Turkish Australians. My job is to keep Australians safe. My job is to ensure that we act in a measured way to take the temperature down and ensure that we continue to work to foster goodwill between peoples. That said, I am expecting, and I have asked for these comments to be clarified, to be withdrawn. I've asked for these comments, particularly their reporting of the misrepresented position of Australia on Turkish television, the state-sponsored broadcaster, to be taken down, and I expect that to occur. I will wait to see what the response is from the Turkish government before taking further action, but I can tell you that all options are on the table. But my actions here are to be measured, to de-escalate, to not engage in a cycle of recklessness, but to engage in a positive spirit and to focus on the key issue before us, and that is to reach out to our populations here in Australia and New Zealand and provide comfort and support to those who have been the victims of these horrific crimes. Also, the travel advisory to Turkey is obviously under review, and that is a process that will take some time, and when that has been concluded, we will make a further announcement.